Good evening, everyone. Magandang gabi po sa ating lahat, especially po sa aking mga nanayano. So I hope meron po tayong makasama ngayon sa discussion po natin. Ginawa po natin ito kasi gusto po natin ma-discuss yung sa art appreciation class, yung tinatawag nating soulmaking. So, inayayahan ko ngayon lahat ng mga nakikinig o meron bang interesado sa topic natin itong soulmaking. Ano ba itong soulmaking? So, meron tayong mamaya ng mga students na papasok. Sana makapasok sila dito sa ating soulmaking. Paano kaya isa itong camera? Sorry. So this is for the consumption of all my students in the appreciation class. I hope you're seeing this one, guys. And we'll be discussing, just like what I told you, we have to discuss more about this one. Pag-uusapan natin ito, tinatawag nating soul making. Nawa ito, sana po ito ang presentation po ito ay makakatulong sa inyo, guys. So, tingnan natin, pag-uusapan natin ngayon ang tungkol sa soul making. Isa po sa mga topics ng appreciation class. Sana makatulong po, no? Sa hi po sa lahat ng mga friends at saka sa mga kaibigan ko dyan. Shoutout po sa lahat. Nagagalak po ako makasama kayo sa gabing ito. At kakaiba po yung discussion natin ngayon. Hindi po ito tungkol sa, well, part ng buhay. Meron din po siyang mga, meron po siyang, lahat po na pag-uusapan natin dito ay tungkol sa art appreciation. So, tinutulungan po natin lahat ng ating mga mag-aaral sa art appreciation class. Kumbaga kayo ay makita dito, alam ko na makakatulong ito, guys. Diyan lang kayo, chill po tayo sa gabing ito. Okay, hanapin ko muna yung discussion. Okay, so unang-una, pag-uusapan natin ito tinatawag na soul making, appreciation, and improvisation. So sa lahat po nakinig dito, ang topic po na ito ay may relation po sa appreciation, art appreciation. So kung kayo po ay lovers ng art, makinig po kayo, ibibigay ko po sa inyo yung mga detalye tungkol po sa soul making, appropriation, appreciation, and improvisation. So ano po ba yung learning outcomes natin? What are our learning outcomes, guys? First is, by the end of this lesson, yung mga students po natin, number one, makaka-explain. You're going to explain how meanings can be derived from art. How meanings can be derived from art. Number two, discuss how improvisation can make an artwork distinctive. Okay, so let's try to find out if we have an artwork right there and how we'll be able to improve it. And the moment it will be improved, what is its significance? Ano po yung halaga sa pag-uusapan natin yan? Identify the issues and problems that can arise because of appropriation of a particular art. So these are the objectives that we need to discuss, guys, relative to soul making. Yung tatlong ito. Una ay tungkol ito sa nararapat lamang kasi pag natutunan nyo na yung dynamics, natutunan yung mga concepts at principle basic po ng art appreciation, particularly soul making, relative to appreciation class, you can actually explain the meaning of it that can be derived out of a particular art. Meaning, all art form, they have meaning. So they are intentionally done, created by a particular artist because it has a message to convey to everyone. Okay? At saka, madidiscuss din natin yung pag-improve ng a particular art and ma-identify natin mga issues, mga problems that can arise because of art appreciation. So siguro abot tayo ng isang oras dito. So I hope everyone can join. Napag-usapan na po natin yung soul making. Ano po ba itong soul making ito? For the word itself, soul. Ano kayo ibig sabihin yan? Sasabihin natin ng soul. Okay? So, soul making, making and deriving meaning from art. Ito pala yung ibig sabihin ng soul making. Ang ibig pala sabihin niyan, making and deriving meaning from art. So, halimbawa pag may nakikita tayo ng dyan na artwork, so ano po ba yung meaning niyan? Bakit po siya ginawa? Ano pong may convey? Ano pong ihatid na mensahe ng artwork na yan? So in order for humans to make sense of a language and derive meanings from words, semantics and grammatical rules are important elements to be considered. So this is all about language, guys. Now in language, we have different types of elements. And these elements are, what are these? These are the semantics. When we talk about the meaning of a particular word, we have syntax. This is the placement, the order. So of a particular word, there must be proper placement of the word in a sentence. So yung tinatawag nating syntax. And okay, these are considerations when we talk about language. No, these are elements of the language. For you to become grammatical, you have to know these particular elements. Like in language, we have semantics, syntax, you have phonology, and morphology. Now, context and symbolisms are also considered to interpret and analyze either verbal or written works. Yung mga symbolisms natin dyan, symbolisms can also interpret something. Say for example, if it is a flame, like in um, like in most of the logos, we can see right there flame. There is a torch, and there is a flame in it on it. And aside from that, we also see there's always this book, right, in all of the logos. So these are symbolisms. So when we're able to see these symbolisms, we have to ask what is its purpose and what does it convey to all of us. So we have to know the meaning of that symbolism out from a particular craft or art that is actually presented. Next, when it comes to art, in order to make sense of the artwork, it would require understanding the visual element where art was grounded, especially the principles of design. Ano bang sabihin? Of arts yan? Meaning to say an artwork, why it is made? Because it has sense. Meron po siyang halaga. Meron po siyang katuturan. Bakit ginawa yan? And pag nakita natin yan, as an art lover, we must have that inquisitive mind. So yung mga dapat tatanungin natin, ano ba ibig sabihin yan? Ano bang gusto ipahiwatig ng artwork na yan? So we have to understand the visual elements. Ano yung visual elements? Yung mga nakikita natin. What are the things that we see? Ano yung nakikita natin? Yung tinatawag natin mga visual elements. At the same time, where it was grounded, especially the principles of design. Okay? The principles of design. So, okay, if we could say a particular art, what is the basis? We have to ask uh, what particular impulse or what particular inspiration that these artists was actually using, okay, just for her to come up with a particular art. Next, the audience of the artwork must have certain level of awareness to style, the form, and content. So these are the three elements also important to the audience. That the audience, say for example, you can see a particular art, we will be able to know. We at least we have already the stock knowledge when it comes to the style and the form and the context. Just like you guys, you were already learning more about this, no? Meaning to say, I did already discuss this one to you, and you have already an idea about this one. Every time I will give you an activity, as the time passes by, because of that learning, you're able to understand. You're able right now to synthesize a lot of things. Okay, so unlike before when we just started, it seemed everything was not really clear and everything was really uncertain. But when as the time progresses, by way of learning, listening, and you develop also that good listening and learning attitude, you somehow understand what it is. You can now have the picture of of art appreciation. Okay, so at least now let us talk about the three types of elements when we talk about soul making, especially trying to understand what is the meaning of that particular art. Number one is that style. Style. Style refers to distinctive handling of elements and media associated with the work of an individual artist, a school, a movement, specific culture on the time period. So everything has a style. Like the cell phone, it has a style. What else? The book has a style. The table has a style. The eyewear that I'm wearing right now is has a style. So that's all about style. It is distinctive, meaning to say it is unique. It is unique and it is not similar to the other object. Meaning to say laptop has a definite structure, a definite frame compared to cell phone, compared to other things like this one. If you have also the ball pen has again a definite shape. It has a style. So when you talk about style right here, it does vary. So I mean, that's why it said it deals with various styling. No? Not only that, when you talk about artists or in the style of the school, the movement or specific culture or time of period. So when you talk about culture, like in the Philippines, we have lots of ethnological or ethnic groups. Like we have Somanen, we have Muslim, and Muslims, yeah, they have also different types of tribes. So if you will go from one tribe to another, you can see the uniqueness of each of the culture, traditions, and belief because they do really differ in terms of their religion, in terms of the language, in terms of their artwork. Okay, like the decoratives, artwork, very different, no? Very different. Next, let's talk about the form. It is what the audience sees. A finished product put harmonious according to the different principles of design. So, say for example, if you're looking at the picture, so this is already the form. The form is the tangible object that we see. May it be a decorative one, like the laptop. What else? Applied arts laptop, what are jewelries. Now, if you look at these particular objects, they do have lots of design. Like laptop is designed for easy access to learning, where it's actually an object where it has lots of program and you can store right here lots of files. Yeah, lots of files. And it is also one of your tools for you to have access to the internet. So that could be one. So you can touch it, it is tangible. So you see this one and you can touch it. That is a form. Okay. It is what we see. It is a finished product. Form is totally the artwork, which includes the textures, the colors, shapes utilized by the artists. So just like what I said to you, that when you talk about art, you don't you don't specifically be focusing only in one area. Art it encompasses a lot. Like it's very complicated. You talk about poetry, literature, you talk about objects, science and arts, you talk about many things like painting, sculpture, decoratives, graphics. So all of these, performing arts, dance, music, all of these are considered to be art. Okay, it is a finished product. And the third is what we call as the content. Content includes not only its form, but also its subject matter and underlying meanings of a particular theme. Say, for example, like in the poster making contests, like if just like right now we are attending the science. No, it is Senegalese in MAPE where participating schools are required to have an entry in the Pintahusay, where you're going to paint, and then that painting should be in conformity with what's the current situation and the current events. Like it is really thematic. So at least the artists right there are guided on what to do, what to draw, what to paint because of that particular content. So the content right there is the subject matter. Say for example, if it is how we're going to deal positively pandemic. So you can tell upon looking at the artwork of an entry, you can tell which to whom or which who among these artists are able to hit to present a thematic painting, a thematic sculpture, it is sculpture, or if it is a performing dance arts, then you would know who among them are able to present properly, able to inject a particular theme. So that is a content. Now in the improvisation, improve. For the word itself, improve. Once you're able already to see a particular object, a particular art, there is still a chance or there is still a probability that this particular type of artwork will undergo series of enhancements or series of improvements. So in the improvisation process, it can be defined as doing something without prior preparation or originative way. Okay, the original one. Next, it has become an integral part of the arts in the present context. The unexpectedness of the changes brought about improvisation makes the artwork to have distinctive quality that creates its individuality and identity. Next, another one, when an artist makes his work, he has already an idea of the elements that will be included in his artwork or his work. As he begins his craft, his work, he may have deviated, deviated from the original plan. So, in essence, improvisation evidence is the process of making a particular painting. Say, for example, if the artist is okay, let's focus on painting, all right? Okay, painters or artists. When we our thing is all about pandemic, so when you talk about if it is thematic, the artist, the painter, has already in his mind of the things, the steps, the process, what he will be, what he will take, or what he will choose, what he will do, the next hours, uh, for her to him to come up with a particular craft. Now, if this is the topic, then he has already idea in mind, and he has to go through a lot of alterations and changes of what he already thought of. Okay, what is already in his mind, like the strategy, the sketch. So everything right here will be changed as the time progresses. Well, in the course of doing the artwork. So most of the, if you're really an artist, you can do a lot of adjustments. If you think that this is just only mediocre, you can see mediocrity right there. So you can have all the possibilities for you to improve it. So you can change the color, you can change the character, You can change the elements that's in there. Or not only that, you can even change your approaches or strategy. Okay, so something like that. So that's improvisation. And let's go to appropriation. Appropriation means it is the use of pre-existing objects or images with a little or transformation applied. It is the use of pre-existing objects or images with a little or no transformation applied. So whatever in there, now whatever in there, whatever things that are already available. So that is appropriation. Appropriation of art has been common practice throughout the history. Okay, just like what I have shared to you many I think the other week or last month, that when you talk about arts, it is not it's not like it's just only popping up right now. No. When you talk about art, it already existed 14,500 before Christ. Okay, before Christ. So meaning to say it's already primitive. It was already there. Meaning to say, if we have artists right now, they are very lucky because they pattern, they were they were inspired by the works of others, by the artwork of others. Now, those of artists before, we salute them because out of their own imagination, they really able to come up with a particular piece. Okay. Next, if an apprentice painter needs to hone his skills in his craft, he would be allowed to use the master's work copy, just like what I told you. Now, this is a particular skill that is not innate. That's not innate, meaning to say it is not born. Okay, meaning to say this is a skill that has to be learned. And if you really wanted to perfect or to, let us say, yes, to perfect, and you make this one as your um, livelihood. So you need to ask or to be under the tutelage or guidance of a master or a coach. Okay, so this is one way now. One way of improving your artwork. Next, for appropriation, it is as if he is trying to explore personal application of our techniques to something he is more familiar with. So this is appropriation. So you have all the free will and free will and choice, or you have the all the chances for you to employ whatever strategies which is necessary in that particular time. Now there are some people who got to the extreme by believing that a preparation is copying the exact artwork of an artist and attributing it to his own. So some believe that if it is appropriated, meaning whatever is in there should be copied. Okay, that is a misconception. Okay, that is a misconception. That could pose a problem, especially with the authorship. So, authorship is not only limited to painters, but even to literature like poetry, songs, lyrics. So everything is copyrighted. So once it is copyrighted, meaning to say, there shall now be you will no one can duplicate it. Uh, they have to ask first permission to the original owner. So no one can take it away from you because that is you have already copyright, and that already means that you have all the rights of this one. No? You have all the rights of this one. So when you talk about appropriation, meaning to say doesn't mean to say that you will copy everything verbatimly. Hindi mo yung makopya lahat. Kaya hindi mo immediately kukuha yung tapos tatawagin mo sa'yo. You have to acknowledge the real author or the real artist of that particular artwork. Next, when appropriation artists skew the responsibility for putting up details of other works and integrating them into their voices and perspective, the artists get lost. With that, the appropriation, the art, and forgery So meron tayong perjury. So pangongopya. So that's why before you will be able to use the particular material, especially that there are laws already attached to it, it's already um, bound by laws. You as a person, if you use it, you have to acknowledge the owner, the authors, and never treat it as your own because you will be penalized. Okay, you will be penalized. Next, let's talk about perjury. Ano ba itong perjury, guys? Okay? What do you mean about perjury? It is a crime or false making of copying something. So, just like you students, where I ask you to come up with a video. Now, if you are really clever, some of you are clever, and you would resort on just copying only the videos of others just for you to present something, to submit, no? Impartial fulfillment to this particular subject. So we will be penalized of that, and that you can be charged of perjury. So perjury, that is a crime or false making, copying of something. If it is like the signature, that could be one in the best example. Now, when you talk about art, many to say if this is already the art, there is a finished product of a particular person like Michelangelo, the painting. So you have to respect the owner. You have to acknowledge the owner and never accept it or never copy anything like it, huh? Because you will be penalized. And that is a crime under the Philippine law. Two classification of forgery. Ano ba ito? Number one, outright copies of existing works and um, pastiches, which are works that bring together elements from a work, infusing them to a new work. So that could not be, that can't be. Form or creating appropriate of what an artist would be done by prediction. So many to say whatever attributions were there, you do not have actually the right to copy verbatimly or even a minor detail to it because that is forgery. So you better create your own. You better create your own. Otherwise, you will be sued. No, you'll be penalized. Now, the intentions of appropriation artists then question since issues of plagiarism. Ito na yan. Plagiarism if you copy. Now, say for example, in your Facebook, like sa Facebook nyo, meron kayong sa wall dyan, na-write kayo na quotation, parang hindi nyo na-attribute yung pangalan na gumawa. So that could be plagiarism. Okay? So you have to mention, you have to make citations, mention the author of that line so that hindi po tayo magkaka-problema. Next, some would argue that the reason behind appropriation is that they want the audience to recognize the images they copied. So ito yung reason ng iba na appropriation. Gusto nila pikita yung sa kanino at ano artwork kinopya or hinuhugutan ng inspirasyon. The appropriation would bring about new context to original work. So we have here art in Asia. We have Chinese art. Chinese art. China is at the forefront of economic development. So this is very true now. China becomes already one of the, if we have lion, we have the tiger country. Lion is in the US and the tiger is the China. In terms of business, these are the two super countries that are competing with each other. Its booming economy has led to its modernization. History shows that China has been at the leading edge of development, especially in terms of cultural development. So, develop cultural development. Inhabitants in China, what is inhabitant? These are the people who live in China or who are Chinese. No, these are Chinese. The past were able to produce primitive and artisan work. Now, what's good in China is that They are really trying to preserve whatever culture they have. So many times they never completely shifted to modernities or in a modern way, meaning they embrace modernization but they retain, they preserve their culture. So yun ang maganda sa China, hindi niya kinalimutan kung ano mang meron sila, kung anong klaseng kultura meron sila. So I mean to say, nagkaroon na sila ng modernization, nagiging super country na sila ngayon, pero hindi nila kinalimutan kung anong klaseng merong ng kultura nila, no, hindi nila kinalimutan. The Chinese during the Su dynasty was under the feudal kind of social system. The Su dynasty, yung feudal, may pag-aaway. Yung pag-aaway na yan, both families, between two parties, ay hindi siya matatawag natin natatapos. Nag-i-exist siya from lots of years, so many years. So yung tawag natin feudal. Okay? May disagreements sila dito. The China, okay, next. It was parallel period with that of Greece golden age, a period when culture, particularly art, has flourished and tremendously. Now, you have to know that you have to know that Greece is one of the earliest civilization, like the art, the sculpture. Okay, it also emanated. So nanggaling dyan, galing ito mga ito dyan sa Greece. No? Isa sa mga pinakamatandang mga uh, uh, nation, bansa. Sorry. Na kung saan doon po nagiging ano, doon po nanggaling yung art. Isa may yung Greece ay may malaking ambag sa art. Kumbaga. Now what else? Ay, nice. Okay. Chinese also had interaction with the Western missionaries who came from India and brought some of the Indian influences in China to China. Okay. What else? Paintings usually depicted magical places and realms. What is realm? Realm is it is a kingdom. Okay, that were born out of sheer imagination while still infusing Chinese characters that define their culture. So ito yung kagandahan ng China, sabi ko kanina, na kumbaga in-embrace na nila yung modernization, pero yung mga kultura nila, nakapaskil pa yan, mga artwork nila, andyan pa rin yan. Hindi yan nawawala. Okay, hindi yan nawawala. Sa mga paintings nila, no, na-infuse pa rin yung tinatawag nating Chinese culture. It was dominant belief that the great power coming from a higher spirit is the one moving the artist and his work together. So they believe that this source of power, the power is coming from a particular spirit which is supreme. And then this particular spirit guides and helps this particular painter. Most paintings were done in monumental styles, wherein rocks and mountains serves as a barrier that made viewer distracted initially from man subject to work. So monumental, what do you mean about monumental? Malaki. Okay, monumento, malaki. Okay, okay, where you use particular rocks, so on and so forth. Sa sobrang laki niya, makikita mo kaagad. Okay? Makita mo siya kaagad. Western landscapes usually had single vanishing point, while Chinese paintings had opposite sense. Most paintings aim to give audience a multiple perspective of a subject. Now, another one, yung isa sa mga product ng Chinese is porcelain. What is porcelain? Porcelain is one of the commonly used items to make decorative ornaments, okay, such as vases and art. So, alam niyo na ito, porcelain na ito, no? Mga malaking jars, okay, big jars, okay, decorative ornaments. Sasabihin ng ornaments, that is out decoration, ornament. Same ornamental plants. We have plantitos and plantitas who are really involved in ornamental plants. Like me, I'm also a person who is a fish keeper. So I have koi, and this koi are ornamental fish. Kaya kinagigiliwan ko na kinagigilan natin 'yan kasi nakita natin yung mga colors niya, no? So napakaganda. The focal point of these vases depicts central theme nature. Ito pa ng mga vases, yung mga vase, flower vase. Okay? Sa flower vase na may mga paint dyan about a particular person, a character wearing the old Chinese cloth, or it could be an umbrella or a flower. So, let it. They believe that man is an integral part of nature, ensuring that there is a certain balance in it. Ensuring that there is a certain balance in it. Some of the common overarching themes of Chinese art include everyday activities such as war, violence, war. So these are the Chinese artwork include everyday activities like war, violence, death, and nature. So makikita natin yan sa kanilang mga artwork na tulad ito ta mga mandirigma, digmaan, ano pa kaya? Digmaan, war, at meron yung tinatawag natin, ano pa ito? Violence, even death, no? Could be one. Chinese artworks infused with lot of symbolism. So marami na symbolism. Next, at becomes a venue artist to convey reflection of the feelings aware of. Okay, so that is yan yung contribution ng Chinese art. Napupunta tayo sa Japanese art. So, ang pag-uusapan natin ngayon ay sa mga Southeast Asian. Pero ngayon, na-mention natin, na-discuss natin ngayon ay tungkol sa dalawa. Ang una ay yung sa Chinese art na alam natin yung mga porcelain na yan. Yung mga paintings nila ay hindi nila nakalimutan, nakaukit. Meron pa rin yan nakalagay dyan na mga anything that would remind them of who they are as a nation and as a human being. Let's proceed to Japanese art. So Japanese art in Japan has undergone series of transitions and periodizations. From being isolated nation to that of embracing Western influences and modernization, Japan has transformed into modern cultural mixing pot. Okay, mixing pot. So, just like Chinese art, Japanese embrace Western culture. Kaya nga nagiging super country na rin itong China, itong Japan. However, it is like China, they did not forget, but they just mixed it with the culture of the Western, but they never ignore or they never set aside their own culture. So that's why it's called mixing pot. So nagkahalo-halo lang siya pero hindi kinalimutan. Based on artifacts such as ceramic figures, ito yung ceramic figures, and ornaments. Again, guys, let me inform everyone. When you talk about ornaments, these are decorative or it pertains to decorations. Kung ano yung maganda sa paningin, kung ano yung art, no, like flowers, vases, another artwork, so on and so forth. It is important to take note that there are Korean and Chinese influences even in the Japanese artwork. So ito pa lang Japanese artwork, kaya sinasabi natin mixing pot. Kasi ini-embrace na yung Western, pati rin yung kapitbahay na bansa. Because they have influenced the Chinese and Korean art. So halo-halo pala ito. No? Next, one of the ceramic products. So alam natin na ceramic guys ha, ito yung mga objects na kung saan magagamit yan pag ipunin at ginagather sila to come up with a particular one, like the tiles that could be ceramic pot, okay, yan, pottery. Okay, figures, ornaments. One of the ceramic product created by Japanese is called Ha, Haniwa. Okay, one of the ceramic artwork is called Haniwa. They are ceramic figures that are made up of clay. Okay, like the pottery, they are made up of clay. The native religion in Japan is the Shintoism. So again, let me mention the native religion in Japan is Shintoism. Although the religion subscribes to beliefs such as being one with the nature and embracing the notion of existence of many gods. So unlike other religion where they believe only in one God, but when one God who comes in different representations like God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. But in here in Shintoism, they embrace into a lot of gods. So, a lot of a lot of gods. Next, when Japan established trading relation with China, they did not only trade goods with them, but they were also influenced by the Chinese with religious belief and practices. So this is where Japan got the influence during trading. It's not only the benefit they're getting are the materials out of trading, but they're also getting information like the religion, the beliefs of the Chinese, and the Japanese people are influenced by Chinese beliefs. Buddhism, Buddhism became an integral part of Japanese culture. So Shintoism, then Buddhism. Art, in essence, became an expression of worship for the Japanese. So they are inspired to come up with a particular craft artwork because they believe that this is in a form of a worship. Okay, this is the part of the worship. China also influenced Japan in terms of paintings. Ano pa? So yung mga pagpipaint sa China pa rin yan. Japanese style of painting learned toward abstract. It is abstract and naturalistic handling. It is abstract. Alam natin abstract, hindi natin maunaw kung ano yan. So if you figure out pa natin kung ano nakasulat dyan, symbolism dyan, ano mga characters, so hindi natin kaagad-agad siya maintindihan. So yun yung mga abstract, no? Mahirap siya intindihin. But later on, sa kakatutok natin at saka sa kaka-interview, sa kaka-research natin, naiintindihan natin, ito pala yun siya. Ito pala ang ibig sabihin. Ito pala yung character. Naunawaan ko na ngayon kung nung pininta dyan. Okay? Japanese adopted more minimalist take on their paintings. This is a stark contrast with extravagant and sometimes over-top designs of Chinese. So Chinese artwork are more expensive compared to Japan. An example would be woodcuts of the Irashid and the Sirocco. Okay, we are now done with the Chinese art. You have to remember Japanese. Let's proceed to the Philippine art. Let's proceed to the Philippine art. Now, throughout the Philippine history, spanning from pre-colonial period to the contemporary periods, different forms have emerged in the Philippine art scene. So, starting from pre-colonial, what do you mean about pre-colonial? Meaning to say, this is the time where Filipinos are free from the invaders like the Japanese, the Spaniards, and the Americans. Okay, before colonizers came to the Philippines, ethnic minorities have used art not only for daily activities, but also for religious rituals, and practices. Meaning to say, before these invaders came in, Filipinos, the forebears of the primitive Filipino, already have their own artwork, and they able to come it they able to have it that way. It's because that this is part and parcel of the rituals. Okay, yung worship nila. Most of forms used by ethnic um, most forms used by ethnic communities includes pottery. Do not forget there's a pottery, weaving, carving, and the use of metalwork jewelry, of which all of these are were already discussed by me. Okay, were already discussed by me. Most forms used by ethnic communities include pottery, weaving, what else? Weaving, carving, and the use of metalwork and jewelry. Now, pottery is said to be one of the earliest forms used by early Filipino people. Yung pottery, no? That was the first. Okay. Manunggal jar. Manunggal jar. One of the most prominent artifacts related to pottery found in the Philippines. So the first pottery, it named Manunggal. It named Manunggal. And this is out of clay. This jar is the representation of the early Filipinos. This jar is the interpretation of the early Filipinos or early Filipino religious beliefs and practices. This reflects their belief in the afterlife. Yung pagkatapos mamatay, meron silang the primitive people, Filipino people believe that there is life after death. The afterlife activity. Okay. What else? The crossing of the body of water is the transition from the life here on earth into the next. Pottery produced items that are practical value for early Filipinos, such as pots for cooking, katulad ito mga sa palayok, kulon. Okay, yun yung mga sinaunang mga gamit ng mga tao noon, mga Pilipino. So, out of clay pero nakakaluto pa rin tayo, no? Natataka tayo pa hindi siya mabiyak kasi naging ceramic siya, no? It was, we apply a particular tremendous heat of that but it is not actually broken easily, no? Pottery produced items that one of the practical value to early Filipinos such as pots for cooking, yung kulon, and large bases for storing. Weaving. So weaving. Alam na natin weaving na yan. One of the earliest forms of our expression of the Philippines, itong na weave. No, interwoven or interwoven of the textile, the cloth. No? One of the most popular artisans of weaving is the people of Cordillera. Yung makita na kusutan nila na maganda yung design, yung mga bahag, yung masuot ng mga babae, iba't ibang kulay na yan. So yun yung mga artwork, that's a product of weaving. They are known of their colorful woven cloth, which also have both religious and practical value. Meaning to say, yung sinuot nila, hindi lang yan ginawa kasi hindi lang yan basta-basta, merong meaning yan. May kaakibat na meaning yan. Na kumbaga, pag magsusuot ka niyan ay dumaan ka ng mga naging sagrado yan. Ay, bago ka magsuot niyan is ask muna tayo ng permission sa permission ng mga leaders, okay? Ng mga ethnic leaders. Now, Tiboli people from Mindanao are also known for their woven abaca cloth called tinala. Okay, woven abaca called tinala. They use this particular cloth to make ornaments which also represent the belief through symbols. So, nasabi ko na kanina guys na meron talaga kakibat na meaning yan. Meron meaning yan. Okay? One of the examples is the image of the frog, which is the representation of fertility. Yun pala. Image of the frog is the representation of fertility. Representation of fertility. Next, so meron tayong pottery, weaving. Then let's proceed to wood carving. So yung wood carving. So dito meron tayong mga wood carved chairs. depict animals like birds, which are representation of the religious beliefs. So kinakarve nila, o gamit-gamit ng mga sharp objects. Bird, what is the meaning of the word in word carving? Birds serve as the messenger of the people to the heavens and vice versa. Ito po ang meaning ng birds na inuukit dyan. Kaya, ano tawag nila, kinakarve. Ang meaning pala, nagiging messenger sila ng mga tao, papunta message, papunta langit, at vice versa yan, up and down. So yun yung meaning niyan. In Mindanao, the Tausug and the Maranao people, also known for their okir, O-K-I-R, okir, which are designs applied for their wood carvings. So ito, Maranaos at mga Tausug, they're also fan of this particular art, wood carving. So meron sila tinatawag na okir. Okay, next. Their common subject include sarimanok, yung sinusuot ng mga dancers ng prinsesa ng singkil. Meron silang sarimanok, naga, and the pako rabong. Sarimanok, naga, and the pako rabong. Sarimanok, a stylized design of the mythical bird, either standing on a fish or holding a piece of fish on its beak. So, ito yung sarimanok. So, that is stylized design of mythical bird na may nakadikit o may nakakupit na nakakuha siya ng isa isda. Next, let's proceed to jewelry. Use the amulet. So before jewelry, it's not like right now that we wear, we put on jewelries. We use jewelries because or for body decorations, but theirs is not. Or was it? Theirs is more on amulets. So mga tawag natin dyan, mga gimat. Okay? Naga, jewelry naga, forms of S-shape depicting or elaborate figure of mythical dragon or serpent. Ito pala yung naga, serpent. Yung ahas. Okay, yung dragon. Alam natin sa mga mythical dragon and serpent. Next, pakurabong. Pakurabong is like a growing fern with a broad base. A growing fern with a broad base. Then the sarimanok and naga are usually used as ornamental designs in the house of the sultan. So the sarimanok can be seen or found mostly in the house of the sultans. Okay. Now, when the Spaniards discovered the Philippines during the 16th century, they introduced the religion to the local people. So ito na-introduce na ng religion. Art was used by Spaniards to propagate their Christian faith while at the same time subtly establishing a foothold the country. The church became the sole patrons of the arts. Itong church design like the cross, or if you go to the altar, ito yung mga artwork nila. Now, art became one of the avenues of Filipino patriots and the nationalists, yung mga artwork na yan. So, yung una, Spolarium by Juan Luna, one of the most famous works expressed in the Filipino nationalism and stood against the colonizers. Spolario, makita natin yung nakahiga na parang hinihila na partially nakahubad. This large-scale academic painting garnered a gold medal and signified that the reformists could come at par with the European counterpart. Okay, malapit na tayo guys ha. Wala na. Now, when the Philippines was liberated from the Spanish rule, the Americans to establish colonial government. This is according to history, guys. Ha? They also propagated their culture beliefs through implementation of public school system. So this is during the time of the Americans. Art had a new role in advertising American controlled markets. Artists focus on modern takes when it comes to content, form, and subject matter. Meaning to say there, it underwent a particular change. As a modern painting started to emerge, the triumvirate of artists was formed: Carlos Francisco, Galo de Ocampo, and Idades. So these are the artists now. In 1960s, proved the period of modernism, and dynamism with lot of style, techniques, and methods emerged. Most artworks were reflections of political, social. So ngayon, nagagamit na sila for propaganda or um, yes, propaganda or political, social, economic situation in the Philippines. Okay, like during the time of President Marcos. Beautiful and idealistic imagery was replaced with aggressive stories. The work were reflections of the general feel of the people based on political situation during the time. When former President Ferdinand Marcos declared martial law, social realism became norm. Social realism became norm. Most artwork were forms of protest against government, suppression of the freedom of speech and impression. So they try to make a particular artwork by depicting these situations. Some of the works reflect issues of economic problems, land reforms, gender rights, workers' rights, cultural minorities, okay, plagi Filipino people brought by martial law. Sorry for that. Photography has evolved into the art form which highlights various artistic expressions evident in a variety of red scenes. So, yung last na naipasok dito ay yung tinatawag nating photography. Tinatawag nating photography. So right now, we're enjoying photography. Dati meron tayong mga film, naubos na. Ginagamit natin yung old type na camera. But right now, we don't use that anymore. We have already this one. Meron tayo dito. No, cellphone na kumbaga unlimited picture taking and upload natin sa Facebook. Okay, so that's all. So yun yung ano natin, yun yung topic natin, soul making, crafting, na kumbaga ay pinag-uusapan natin ngayon ay tungkol pa sa um, tungkol pa sa yung historical accounts. Historical accounts. So next guys, ay pag-uusapan natin yung ano pa, more on arts pa rin. So at least na-discuss natin yung mga contribution ng China, contribution ng Japan, contribution ng Pilipinas. Okay? So these are the three um, countries able to present symbolism. Natatakal natin yung tatlong mga elements na yon. At ano yung mga elements na yon? Okay, we have yung tinatawag nating soulmaking, na kumbaga meron tayong style, meron tayong form, at meron ka rin content. So, dumadaan tayo sa tinatawag na soulmaking, meron tayong improvisation and appropriation of a particular art. Okay? So I hope I have discussed this one to you guys, and you please catch these videos because lots of learnings you'll be getting right here. And I know for sure that this could be a great help to you in your journey. Now, since this is appreciation, more about appreciation, magagamit nyo to guys, even your school, and even to yourself if you're a lover of art. Okay, magagamit mo ito guys. So, I hope everyone can catch this up or can view this one. This can really great help to you guys, especially to students, to teachers, so on and so forth. Okay? So this is me once again, your friend, your best buddy right here, Luel Abalde would say, thank you so much, guys, and may you have a fruitful day ahead. Good luck, guys.